All right. Okay, so thank y'all so much for jumping on and taking time out of your day um, to get on this Zoom. I love doing little monthly or bi-monthly little meetings with everybody because it just kind of recenters us and gets everybody back on the same page. I think it really helps with the feel of the team and the culture and the community of everything. So I appreciate all of you taking time out of your day to jump on and be on here with me. Um, with that said, so this is going to be probably a heavier call than normal. Normally, I feel like it's just lots of butterflies and rainbows and cupcakes. And I really just want to speak from my heart today. For the last couple of months, the Lord has just really been working on my heart, like in a serious way. And it has been incredible, but it has been such a challenge in some areas as well. And I want to share with y'all some things that I have learned over the last couple of months because I feel like a lot of you are starting to head into that same direction that I just came out of. And I guess that's just what the cool thing about this type of thing is that there's always someone ahead of you that is experiencing or has experienced what you're either going through or about to go through. And so I say that to tell you that above me, the leadership on this team is phenomenal. I don't even know, that's probably not even a justified word for it. The hearts of the ladies that are on this team are so in tune with the Lord, with their business, and just the direction of the company in general, and then their part of all of that. And that is so encouraging, especially when, this is new territory for me, this type of business. So sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? And you just never really know. And a lot of it's been trial and error. And there's been some things that have worked well, and there's been some things that haven't worked so great. And so I want to share my heart on some of that stuff and where I feel like maybe I haven't led the best in some areas, and then in other areas I feel like there's places that we can really build upon that are going really well. So I'm gonna take you back in time, and I just absolutely love how life works sometimes, because the Lord really allows things in your life, sometimes amazing things and sometimes really awful things, to play out. And then you see why. We don't always get to see why, but the times that we do get to see why, it really makes things just come full circle, and it incredibly builds my faith 110 times more. So a few months ago, God had really started working on my heart, and in discipleship, I guess is the best way to put it. And that's about the time that I had started the online Facebook group, Modern Day Mayberry, with a devotion. And I just felt really convicted about, leading that study. I had for years, and followed through with that conviction. And hold on one second. Okay. Sorry, my dog is being obnoxious. And I felt really convicted about sharing my faith. And I felt like it was maybe one of those testing times where it was like, okay, are you going to go outside of your comfort zone and actually do this? And I did. And it took, like I told y'all in that group, it took really years for me to actually do it. And it was just the right platform. And, but I never realized how perfectly timed that was. In my mind, I had thought that I had pushed it off and procrastinated and on all of this stuff. And while I may have, and I may not know until the other side of heaven exactly how that should have played out, but I will tell you that in doing so and going back over that Proverbs 31 study and that Titus study in this particular time frame of my life impacted me in a different way than it would have 4 years ago, 10 years ago. And it has impacted this business, and it has impacted the way that I lead you guys. It's just one of those like light bulb moments, you know. A few of y'all have had those recently, and you've shared that with me, and that is one of the reasons I felt really encouraged that, you know what, I really need to talk about this, because you're sharing with me, so I need to be sharing right back with y'all. And so I want to take you back about 13 years ago. So 13 years ago, I went through a very devastating period in my life, and I was very broken. It was one of those moments where I was at the bottom of my barrel, kind of sort of to speak. You know, they say you can't go up until you get down. And so rock bottom was about where I was. I had gone through all of the D's, which was divorce and debt that came with that. We had some traumatic deaths in our family that took a toll emotionally as well. And it was just a very devastating time in our life. I was broke physically, because my health was starting to really decline during that time. That's when it really started. I was broke financially. I was broke emotionally. And I was broke spiritually. And I never thought in a million years that that period in my life would impact me here 14 years later. But I tell you all that and bring all of that up to tell you that the Lord used that brokenness in my life to take me on this journey that has allowed me to get to where I am right here. And you probably think, what in the world? But I want y'all to understand that every single one of you, we would not be doing any of this if I had not gone through that broken journey. If I had not had to experience the things that I had experienced, moved, created a whole new life for my children, plugged into a different church, eventually met Brad, we moved here. I mean, there's just, because I took steps in obedience and I went through really tough waters, I came out in this really incredible place, and it took 14 years. My health went through some really, really interesting changes. I went from being an overall pretty healthy person to being a very, very sick person. And don't know that story because I refreshed your memory on it yesterday. But it has only been 10 months since I've been on the other side of that journey. So it's just so incredible to me. Like, that was a light bulb yesterday when I was giving my testimony to Tara, and I was going back in time and having to think about those thoughts and those memories and where I all came from with all of that. I remembered thinking, like, as soon as I got off the call with her, I seriously had to have one of those ugly cries because I was so overwhelmed with emotion. I was more overwhelmed with gratitude than I was sorrow, because I had realized that the Lord had kept his promise to me, you know, that he would always be with me and that he would carry me through anything. And I will tell you, over 14 years, there has been so many times in my life that I would have told you otherwise, that I felt otherwise. Not that I didn't believe it. I always believe it. But living that belief is a whole different ballgame. And through those trials, I learned different experiences. There was a period of time where I had started a small business, and it was probably the most physically grueling thing I have ever done in my life, but it provided for my children in a time that I had to provide for my children. But along those ways, I've met many different women that are actually plugged into this journey now. Along the way, I grew exponentially with my trust in my ability to manage things. I had to become the manager of my life. God was the owner. But I was the manager. I had to learn how to manage things, from money to my time to my parenting. And then I had to manage people. That was the first time that I had ever really learned management skills and how to lead people, was leading my crew of, it's basically like construction. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. And then with that came some more devastation when that job ended. Through a series of odd and unfortunate events, but it led to the doors opening to another company that I went to work for that taught me incredible office skills that I'm now using in this business. It taught me communication skills. It taught me how to talk to people, how to lead people. I was in a leadership position there, and it taught me really how to manage people with different personalities. And that was the first time that I had actually started reading self-improvement books, I guess, or management books is what they call them, I think. Had I not gone to work there and learned all of that, I probably would not be able to successfully be doing where I feel like God is eventually leading us to be, if that makes sense. And through all of that, we ended up having to move so that I could have a little bit different of a commute, because that required my children to go to school. And the school system that I chose for them to be in put me right smack dab in the middle of Monroe, Georgia. And had I not been right there and plugging back into that church, there's a long story there to that too, I would have never met Elizabeth. And some of the other little ladies that, and this may have happened for Elizabeth, but I always want to think that this is so braided so perfectly, that I'll just use her for an example because she doesn't mind. But if I had not met Elizabeth, then Elizabeth may not have been able to share this with the friends that she has shared this with the 10 people she shared this with. So I think about that bigger picture, and it really just kind of blows my mind. And it makes me feel like, or makes me realize how big God is, that he has like woven just my story, and each one of you have your own stories and your own light bulb moments and your own way that this is all woven together. But I will tell you that I can see it in my own life, where God has taken me from tragedy to this recent triumph. And please don't hear anything like, I'm not talking about financially here or anything funny or, that fickle, I guess is the word. I am talking about like emotionally and spiritually, just my mindset, where I am in my confidence. It is just a totally different story. And I will tell you, the biggest journey that I took has been the last 6 months. I will say that the last 14 years were really hard, but it all led up to the last 6 months of a lot of self-work that could not have played out without those past 14 years, which now seem like a blink, if that's any encouragement to anyone. So it has caught the last 6 months, I have totally grown tenfolds, emotionally, spiritually even, because you kind of go through periods there. And definitely in my mentality, with my mindset. And it's just one of those things, like when we started doing that Proverbs 31 study, I will tell you this. So hold on, I'm gonna drink some water. Stop. Telling you, it's real life over here. When I started doing the Proverbs 31 study, I thought that I was going to be pouring into other people, and I did not realize how the Lord was going to use that to pour into me. And it allowed me to learn to be comfortable, confident, And it totally changed my mindset of being a work-at-home mom. I had a very different mindset about that. And I felt like I was kind of where God wanted me to be, just homeschooling my kids. And at first, in the beginning, had I not been obedient and done that study again, really for myself, I probably would be carrying a level of guilt right now that would be unnecessary, because God calls us to invest in more people than just our children. Our children are first, 100%. But he also gives us this obligation, and that's where I saw this it took root in Proverbs 31, and it manifested in Titus. When God created that perfect plan that I see playing out every single day within our Plexus community, with how he took Paul and Titus and made them leaders so that they could develop leaders that developed leaders. And they specifically chose those leaders for leadership opportunities. It wasn't just anyone and everyone. It was they prayed over these people. They sought them out, so to speak, you know. And it wasn't that these people had perfect lives or were doing anything really that spectacular, other than their mindset they could see was in the same way as what Paul and Titus was looking for when they were looking for the elders. And then they went on to, show us how the elders went on to mentor the younger generation of men that went on to mentor women and younger ladies. And it's just this whole, I'm even scared to use the word, pyramid of perfection. I'm going to back it up with perfection, because this is not a pyramid. This is just a perfectly orchestrated triangle with a big starburst of people. But I want you to have confidence because of the way that it's designed, because it gave me so much confidence going back through that study. Because there's a lot of negativity sometimes that surrounds network marketing and the job that we're in. And as Christians, we always have to be so careful and so cautious what we put our name on and what we put our name with, that if there's a lot of negativity surrounding something, it's always good to really kind of give yourself a check and be like, am I really in the right place? Is this negativity justified? And am I causing my brother to stumble? Kind of obligation that we have. And doing that study really allowed me to see that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I'm doing exactly what God wants me to be. And the other light bulb thing that went off has been the last couple of weeks when we were at the beach and I was sitting there, and we had a little growth spurt there while I was at the beach, and I was super excited. And this is where my honesty is about to come in. And I started thinking to myself, and I may have even shared it with Stephanie, of going, okay, we got to figure out what our goals are in this month. We got to figure out where our numbers are, like what are we looking at? What should we be shooting for? And I remember sitting there thinking, my kids were swimming in the pool and it was just quiet for a little while. That's kind of when God gets to really start talking to you. And I realized that, what am I doing? I had like this major flood of reality come over me of just total, I want to say shame, really. Just shame, maybe guilt, embarrassed. Because I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like, where is this mentality coming from? Like, this isn't a numbers game. And that's what the last couple of months have been about, has been, let's hit this goal. And while there was no ill intentions behind that thought, but I just don't think that's the direction that I feel like we should continue to go. And I feel like really what that is doing is setting us up for failure. I feel like it is setting us up for disappointment. It's setting us up with a mentality of selling. And which all of that is the opposite of what this group's vibe is all about. And then over the last couple of, I don't know, days or so, there's just been different opportunities that we've been able to pray over each other for things. And then, you know, like last night when we realized that some of our friends in Texas are really struggling and they're dealt with some things that, you know, here in Georgia, we don't really have to think about. And when we kind of started uniting in prayer, I realized it was just another one of those little moments of this is so much bigger than Plexus. This is so much bigger than products and numbers. And it was really just a very humbling moment of truth there about our team and what our goals are. So here's where I have to humbly kind of say we're going to go in a different direction. And I think it'll be a good direction. Like I said, I'm still learning. So y'all have to have grace. But I think it'll give us all this. I know it's given me some relief for thinking this way. And we heard it not too long ago, and Elizabeth has reminded me of this more often than not, that we can have a goal. I'm all about setting goals. But don't have an expiration date on your goal. If you don't achieve a goal this month, don't think that it didn't happen. Just move the date. You know, it's something as simple as that thought process of not having these deadlines. Now, I'm not going to say that Plexus isn't going to have competitions and things and things that we're going to plug into, because I think that, or not, I don't think, I know. So Plexus's incentive program is, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but they actually have a team of people that are specifically educated and knowledgeable and designed in incentives. Like, that's what they do. They think about, they see what's working, what's not working. They look at our past sales and stuff, and they come up with numbers. They're not just pulling things out of hats here. They come up with things so specifically for you guys, for us, for me, for Tara, for everybody. And Amy, they come up with specific numbers and incentives. And I mean, I think those things are things that we need to be going for every month when we think about a number like that. But I don't want to set like a number. I don't want to say our goal for this month is 21 or 10 or 2. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't feel like that is real. I think that's playing small. You know, that's kind of saying, well, we can't go over this, but if we don't hit it, then we failed. And I think that's a scarcity kind of mindset, like Bob Heilig's been talking about, you know, and I don't want to be anywhere involved in that. So that's one thing that we're taking away is number goals. I think that we should be plugging in 100%, see whatever Plexus says, like right now it's 369. And I think whatever you look at, if you look at those gifts and you say, I want that 3, then that's what you mentally, you know, you can go for that. If you say, I want this, you know, the 6 gifts, then go for that. You know, I don't think that there's any reason that you should not be pushing yourself for those things. But as far as our goals for a team goes, I want to see us more focused personally. I want to see us more focused on ourselves personally, because you cannot grow professionally if your personal life is suffering. And if you're not where you need to be a leader, when you become a leader, your failures will be larger. And that's just, you know, facts. So I don't want us to have any more small goals. I don't want us to have numbers. I don't want us to set limits. I don't want us to set amounts and things be wrapped around those types of things anymore. The types of challenges and things that I want, write some goals, some things down so I can make sure I stay on track. The kind of things that I want to see us plugged into in the goals that we set would be something like Tara's book group that we have coming up. It's starting October the 1st. Something like that would be like an incredible goal. is for us all to be involved in that book study. And you kind of think, well, I've already got all this stuff going on, why? I don't know if I can commit to that. Guys, commit to yourself. Commit to your personal growth. Find that extra hour to read that chapter or two that you got to read each week. Plug into that. So in the Bible, it talks about leadership. And it's very clear. And I think it is so incredibly cool that we're part of a company that not only promotes our faith, but encourages it. We're in an incredible spot here. The book that Tara is part of, it's a big leadership group that is putting on this book study, is a book by John Maxwell. And the fact that they've chosen John Maxwell, or the fact that they plug us into people like Bob Heilig, that are incredibly strong, outspoken Christians, is something that we really need to wrap our head around being proud of. Because I'm telling you what, that ain't happening in corporate America. And that's not happening in the next MLM down the street. If I have to be boldly honest about it. I think it's just really cool that we are getting involved where God is at work. And I can tell you, God is at work in Plexus. Think about what we have to offer somebody. Yesterday, when I was giving my testimony, again, it just reminded me, these are tools. These are actual tools. These are things that came essentially from God because they're plans. So these are things that were created, the beginning of those things, by God himself. And we are marketing and sharing and encouraging our friends and family to trust us and utilize these tools that God gave us. So it goes beyond ourselves if we really think about it. And then the second thing about all that is it's what other job have you been, not that this is really a job, but what other thing have you ever done work-wise where you were with a group of women that wanted to pray with you, grow with you, learn with you? I mean, seriously, I feel like I get up and I get to hang out with my best friends all day long. And I get to talk to y'all on the phone. It just blows my mind sometimes that, ultimately we're getting paid to do this right here. And that is just incredible. I think I shared this yesterday that, I started this journey looking for health, to improve my health. The fact that it has become this and that we get to do this, it's just how I think small sometimes, that God's plan was so much bigger than just me feeling better. Not only do I get to feel better, I get to be better. I get to grow my network of friends, and I get to share my faith with them openly without someone coming in and telling me not to. So I get to get up every morning and go to work and share my faith. And guys, you can't ask for anything better than that. And so I just want to encourage you. So I've got 4 little steps here of ways that I want to see our team, our team goals. The first one is to plug in to personal growth. Like I was talking about, find a book study, do one on your own if you don't want to do one with the group, but I would encourage you to, that's kind of part of plugging in, to do it with the group. That one starts October the 1st, and it's going to be incredible. The book, I think it was 10 or 12 bucks. The investment is not much. It's not much at all. And then it's just a weekly meeting, I think, maybe like an hour or two. Probably more close to an hour. And what this is going to do is this is going to prepare you. Those things that y'all are praying for, that God will bless your team personally, that God will provide you with business builders, that God will prepare you to be a leader. This is the opportunity to do that. If you want to be able to grow your Plexus business, you've got to grow yourself. You've got to be prepared for that blessing. So when God hands over to you this business and this opportunity with 3 or 4 extra business builders and all of that, you've got to be ready between your time management to your leadership skills. The second thing is that I want us to share. Share with conviction. Share with the knowledge of what you have. Share with confidence. So when we start redoing our goals are going to be about sharing. It might be about finding a post or me challenging you to share a story about yourself, coming out of your comfort zone, connecting with people in a raw, real way, which will just help you grow more personally. So share. When you're sharing with people, share with them from your heart and share with the conviction that this is exactly where God has placed you to be and that you are obligated to do this. The next thing I want to do is tell you the third one, and that is invest. Find people to invest in. Look for people that need to be invested in and start there. When you love on people, it does incredible things to yourself. I don't know. It's just it does something. It puts meaning into your life. Whether it's sending a card to a friend that you know is sick, or maybe your friend's grandma isn't feeling good. Just take a few minutes each day and find a way to invest in somebody. The next kind of goal is just committed. This goes back to mindset, and it's deciding whether you've already decided or maybe you need to have a mental discussion with yourself here in just a few minutes. But commit to yourself. Commit to this for yourself, because this is the coolest opportunity out there, and I can hands down tell you that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Commit to yourself because we need this, because we need you and you need us. And commit to it for no other reason than this is church. You know what I mean? This is our ladies group. This is our nourishment. Commit to it for that reason. Keep the negativity out of your mind. When you commit to it, be 110% in. Don't be wishy-washy. Don't treat it like it's an option. Don't decide, well, if I don't sign one more person up in the next 6 months, then this isn't meant for me. Be committed to this team more so than the business, and the business will follow you. Because with that, to go with that is just to continue to fully embrace each season. So if things seem really slow right now, and let's say you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, you're sharing every day, you're posting every day, you're reaching out to your friend that you see is struggling with migraines and asking if you can share a video or plug them into a group. You're constantly having conversations. You're talking to the girl at the grocery store, whatever. Let's say you're planting all those incredible seeds, but things seem to be really slow. Take that opportunity to grow yourself personally, because I can guarantee you that professionally is just right around the corner. And God's letting you use that moment to really hone in and mold those areas that maybe aren't quite exactly where He wants them to be. So see it as a blessing. See it as an opportunity. And also during those times, when things are a little bit slow, that's when you can invest. Invest in your team. Invest in the people that have already said yes to you. Keep those people going by talking to them, loving on them. Send them a thank you card for being such a loyal customer. Send them a sample. Tell me, I'll send them a sample. Whatever you want. but really love on those people that are on your team, because those are the people that you want to keep committed. And that way, when it does happen, and when your business builders, when they start growing and they start adding people, you're going to be prepared, and you're going to be with all the skills that you need. And as the team grows, this grows my team. And during this time, I'm working on myself too. And know that when there's fears and things that come up, that you have an incredible group of women right here that are willing to pray for you. They're willing to love on you. They're willing to wrap their arms around you, whether virtually or physically, and lift you up. And I could not tell you how honored I am to be a part of something like that. Like, I would have never guessed in a million years when I started taking these products 10 months ago, that I would be on this video chat with you ladies. I don't know. It's just incredible. And I don't know. I think I'm going to just close there because I don't want to chase a rabbit, but I just want y'all to be encouraged. Our goals are going to change. It's going to look a little bit differently on our team page. And I want us to be focused on us. And I think by focusing on our relationships and our commitment to our God-given opportunity here will totally, I think that's going to just transform the mindset of this team. And that's when I think we're going to see some phenomenal growth, is when we wrap our head around that. So that's all I got for today. Y'all can raise your hand if anybody's got anything real quick. And if not, then I'll just close it out. Well, I'm going to close this in prayer real quick. And then if it doesn't cut me off, know that I said amen. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for this group of women. Thank you that we are allowed to do this. Thank you that this has found us. Thank you for putting it in our lives, Lord. Allow us not to ever forget that this is what you placed in our lives, and that as long as it is here, Lord, that we have the opportunity to share incredible things to help people